Hello and welcome back to Football Talk, the podcast. It's good to have you back with us again. I am obviously Dave, your co-host, but to be a co-host, I've got to have someone with me. Josh, are you there?
I'm here also co-hosting.
Excellent, that's good. 2 co-hosts is the perfect amount, I'll probably say, to co-host a podcast. What's been up? How's been your week in football? Anything taking your interest?
Week in football. Well, we had the big cup competition during the week, didn't we? The massive League Cup. We've had a bit of Premier League action. Premier League action yesterday. I mean, bit of enjoyable for some, not enjoyable for others. A lot of good goals.
Skip the Premier League action from yesterday. Yeah,
no. There's some really good goals actually. We'll actually a good goal from midweek. But he needs to check out Sheffield Wednesday versus Leeds in Championship. Adam Reach scores an absolute blooter. We'll put a link to it below, but that is well worth a view.
Okay, I haven't seen that one.
Yeah,
I haven't seen that. So.
Yeah. Oh, it's a good one. I especially like the goalkeeper reaction. It's kind of like,
okay.
Oh, it's gone in.
Talking of Championship good goals, did you see John McGinn for Aston Villa?
Yes, again Sheffield Wednesday. All the goals of Sheffield Wednesday. Yeah, that I think the cameraman especially has done well with that one because it's that is a beaut. Yeah.
Yeah. Carry on. Anyway, carry on. You're chatting about the week in football for you. Yeah.
Well. Yeah, and then I suppose it ties into see that Mo Salah won the Puskas Award for his goal. Yeah. See how ludicrous that was? Absolutely the goal that didn't even win goal of the month.
I know. I couldn't believe that when it came out. Like, how is that even possible? It's stupid. It is absolutely
because
stupid.
They've stupidly put it to a public vote, and seemingly the whole of Egypt jumps on a public vote and votes for Mo Salah no matter what. It's just ludicrous.
Because it was a 25% of the total vote was the public vote, wasn't it? Like it was a quarter of it went to the public vote, and then it turned out that so many people voted for that Mo Salah one that it was enough to push it over. Basically, they hadn't worked out the maths correctly, is what I'm trying to get at.
No, the weightings were all wrong, weren't they? Yeah.
It was absolutely ridiculous. What would have been your goal of the Puskas Awards? Did you see any of the nominations?
Gareth Bale, Champions League final.
Okay. Yeah, I thought you would have gone for some sort of dribble and.
I mean, I don't know. It's just that Gareth Bale, isn't it? Maybe Gervinho's goal from last week. Maybe next year's. Hey.
Okay. Oof. Yeah. But what about? So, if you think Gareth Bale's is the best goal and should have won Puskas, was Cristiano Ronaldo's overhead kick not better than Gareth Bale's, or are you going because of the situation and the game?
The situation takes it above. I think. Cristiano's, because Gareth Bale's, I don't know, it was slight off in the connection for me, but the fact that he just comes on as a sub, we need that goal, bang, done. It's in the final. It's just like that just takes it above the rest. What about you?
I would have gone for Ronaldo's. I think it was I don't. Well,
don't get me wrong. You and Ronaldo.
Bale's goal was like the whole situation of Bale's goal was obviously better. Like the final, like you say, he comes on, he gets that goal, he scores that sort of changes the whole game of how it's playing. I just think Ronaldo's, it's a bit further out, a bit more athletic, got a sweeter connection. I know we've had this discussion about Wayne Rooney's volley in the Manchester derby, but Ronaldo's was a sweeter connection. I don't know. Yeah, it's either way, it shouldn't have been Salah's goal. I think everybody can agree on that.
Yeah, I think if we draw a line under this, no, Mo Salah, no. And I think we had an early season prediction from maybe myself that Mo Salah wouldn't score anywhere near the amount of goals that he scored last year, and that's coming true so far. He's having a bit of a dodgy start. I mean, playing for Liverpool, the amount of chances they create, he's always going to have chances, but I don't see him scoring that many this season, and so
I just think it's always going to be. It's just going to be tough as well to score that many again.
It's often whenever a player has a breakout season, then teams are quite kind of. I remember when Gareth Bale had a breakout season, suddenly you get 2 men on you. Obviously, Harry Kane's had to deal with it and come through it. But yeah, you can't play exactly the same way because teams shape up differently for the side. Teams shape up differently for player, 2, 3 men on you, and it's that one-off. You got to applaud that one-off season. But if to do it again, he's gonna have to. He can't do it exactly the same way. He's gonna have to do it something differently. So that's why when you actually look at it from afar and go, "Wow, Messi and Ronaldo do that season after season after season with teams trying their hardest each time." It's like
exactly.
You've got to applaud that because that's absurd.
I totally agree. So I think that was absolutely ridiculous that Salah won that.
Yeah.
I mean, what was the goal of the month that won it that month? Wasn't it Jermaine Defoe's goal?
It was
I think?
Jermaine Defoe's, yeah.
Ridiculous.
So talking about Mo Salah and some spectacular goals, should we have a look at? So talk about Chelsea Liverpool yesterday. See any of those goals? That was
I have, yeah. I've seen the
yeah.
highlights.
Daniel Sturridge making a little bit of a comeback.
He's becoming
Goals.
a very good plan B, isn't he? He's becoming a very good plan B for Liverpool.
I've always had a little bit of a soft spot for Daniel Sturridge. I do like him. He's one of it. I mean, think about it. He's played for Chelsea, Man City, and Liverpool, which is quite unique, but never really done much apart from at Liverpool. I suppose he had his loan at Bolton to start with. Was it where it was?
Yeah, he was. That's when he started doing his really stupid celebration as well.
Yeah, his wobbly arms. But no, I mean I love that goal yesterday. If you haven't seen it, just kind of 25-30 yards out to the left-hand side and whips it into the far right. It's a beautiful goal, but I think I may have preferred Eden Hazard's goal, the first goal in that game. That was just the way he flicks it round and just almost kind of sprints towards goal, and a few passes happen in between. And as I always say, the keeper ruined it. The keeper got a little bit of a touch, ruined the goal.
You're going on about it.
You're not going to save it. Yeah.
Don't bother if you're not going to save it.
Don't bother.
What's the point?
But yeah, but I think a fair result overall. Chelsea Liverpool. That was and it's good for everybody else around because they both drop points, so it all tightens it up a little bit.
Yeah, definitely. It was good. How do you feel about Tottenham's 2-0 win? Happy?
Yeah, it was a good result. Didn't start very well. Huddersfield on top, but with Harry Kane, you've got that. Always got those chances. A bit of a first goal could have been a penalty, then advantage played, nods it in, and second one was a bit of a soft penalty. But it's nice to get those two early goals in the game because it just takes the strain away out of it. Even strain for a fan. You get to like 70 minutes is 0-0. Like, oh god.
Yeah,
it's just it's nice to.
Is it good to have Kane back, like scoring goals? Do you think he's back now, or is he still? He still looks.
I think he's still getting there. Still getting there. I mean, I'd like to have seen his goals not come from a penalty and a header. I'd like to see him just actually have a shot. I'm struggling to think of a shot. I want a shot in venom from maybe in edge of a box type thing where he just shifts it and has a shot and goes in. I think that will make him feel a bit better. But no, it's good to have him scoring and a few players rested and we're still progressing. And obviously, big match during the week to see us on our way.
Yeah, I mean, you're on the up, definitely, Spurs. I mean, results, other things that go into Arsenal getting a 2-0 win against Watford was pretty good for them, I'd say.
A couple of goals in a few minutes, that was. Own goal started it. Another lovely goal. The Ozil's goal was a lovely bit of play, but I think Watford, part of me's happy, part of me's unsurprised, but they have that good start to the season. I mean, there's a few losses on back-to-back losses now. It's creeping in and unlucky against Arsenal, but I mean Arsenal now have won I think 7 in a row in all competitions, which is quite surprising.
Incredible when you think of their start, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, but then you got to look at it, when you go all competitions, you got some Euro Cup in there, so it's not as great as it sounds, but it's still a win to win. Yeah,
true. Fulham struggling still. I thought they'd have a better season than this. Fulham.
Yeah, and it was a needed win for Everton, really. Yeah. Everton had been dropping a little bit. Marco Silva, I mean, it's a clean sheet as well, because Marco Silva's sides have been conceding a lot of goals. He's throughout his time in England, they've conceded something like 90 odd goals in about 40 odd games, which is not.
Oh wow!
Right.
Yeah.
Bear in mind that he had a whole side in that who were a bit poor, and all things went down with Watford. But you'd expect a bit better. It does tell a little bit of a tale, but yeah, Gylfi Sigurdsson missing out on a chance for a hat-trick, missing a penalty, but scoring a couple of lovely finishes. Cenk Tosun, I think he started his career with Everton pretty poorly. He looked like a big lad with no physical capability, no running ability. He looked like just a real poor buy, but he's getting there, and set up by Theo Walcott, I think Theo Walcott's benefiting from that kind of out of the kind of Arsenal limelight. I saw him as a bit of a kind of fancy down, thought he was better than the rest. So it's quite nice he went to a bit of a lesser club, bit of a smaller club of Everton, but just plying his trade, doing his thing. And, I think might see him back in the England fold.
Well, I think Theo Walcott. Just while you're chatting about Theo Walcott, I think the move, like you say, coming away from Arsenal when he signed Arsenal signed him when he was 16, and he was there for a
Mm.
good number of years. I think just the whole fresh start he's had at Everton has suited him, and you know, playing under Big Sam probably wasn't the best thing for him, but it got the ball quickly, like forward very quickly, which probably suits him down to the ground. You know,
Yeah.
he's the sort of player that's either like put it in behind and I'll just run my ass off to go and get it, or let's at least get it forward quickly so that I can use my pace to try and attack them. Which is good, and I think he could possibly play himself back into an England squad. With the youngsters we've got coming through, I doubt it, but yeah, he could do.
I think I'd be a little bit upset to see him in the squad. But ultimately, if a player's you felt sometimes at Arsenal when a player's at a big club like Arsenal, and like I can imagine Theo Walcott has played a lot worse form, but for Arsenal and still got an England side. So
Yeah.
if he's going to get an England side now at Everton, it's going to be deserved. So hey, if he starts scoring and assisting, I've no problem with him getting the England side on the back of actual performances rather than just club.
Yeah, definitely. And just what you're saying about Tosin before, I think I want him to do well because he seems to be one of those players that tries to play with a smile on his face. Saint Tosin, he seems to be happy when he's like playing and doing all that. And someone else came out in the press. I can't remember who it was. Someone came out in the press last week and said, you know, he's not going to be enough for Everton to score their goals and play well, and then he goes and scores. So I quite like that as well when a player shuts the press up, so as it were.
Yeah, and linked to Walcott's fresh start, you've seen seemingly a breakdown in talks with Aaron Ramsey and his a new contract at Arsenal. He seems like he'll be making a fresh start next season.
Yeah, do you reckon they'll keep him to just see out the contract, or will he be gone in January? And if so,
You know what? There's a small history of Welsh players in Italy. I've got a feeling that it's going to be another kind of Juve or something like that. I think if he's going to go abroad, I think he's got it in him just to go. I'm going to Italy. I don't know why.
nah,
I've got.
He's got Premier
What
League
do you reckon?
Premier League written all over him somewhere. He'll go. It wouldn't surprise me if Man United put in a cheeky bid to try and get him.
Wasn't he trying to get him when he was at Cardiff?
Yeah. It was us, Liverpool, and Arsenal trying to get him from Cardiff. Yeah, I don't. But
Would you take him at Would you take him at United? Paul Pogba replacement?
No, I'd rather keep Paul Pogba and like actually have a bit of like inconsistency but lots of flair sort of thing. I don't know. Ramsey's a good player, but I wouldn't have him over Paul Pogba. No, I wouldn't. I wouldn't have him over Paul Pogba.
I didn't realise how telling a question it was to be.
Yeah, I'd have him in there alongside Paul Pogba, I reckon. But I don't know because it's so hard. If it was like Football Manager and I saw Aaron Ramsey's contract was going up and he had said he was going to leave on a Bosman, I would try and get him at Man United and bring him in, squad player, give him squad rotation, throw some money at him and get him in and have him as a good squad player and bring him along. Whether he would want that in real life, I don't know, but I just can't see him going abroad. I can't see. Can the teams in Serie A pay the wages that he wants? Because the whole point is, I imagine, is that Arsenal, because they gave Ozil that huge bumper contract, didn't they? And now
which has apparently caused a little bit of a
it's going to set a precedence within the squad, saying, well, why can't I get that sort of money? So it's an interesting one. I don't know. I would take him at Man United as a squad player. I don't think he'd want to do that, but
it's intriguing for a player who's actually reaching peak age to be run out of contract at a big club, isn't he? He's now 27, 28 in December. So yeah, 28-year-old going on a free is going to be quite an interesting one.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to follow that one. Yeah, and again, it'll be interesting to see if they cash in January, or keep him for the whole season and keep, because he's pretty integral to how they play. He started
yesterday. Yeah,
he's a key player in the Arsenal team, and he's been there for so long that he'll know what how they play and what they play and what sort of football they want to get across. So to get rid of someone like that in January is quite interesting without a ready-made replacement in their team, because you wouldn't suggest that like Torreira and Guendouzi could play in midfield together, but they're quite similar. You wouldn't put those two in there. Then Xhaka already sort of starts, but even if he was to replace Ramsey, they're not the same sort of player. So it's interesting. Yeah, it's interesting. It'll be one to keep an eye on.
So what else happened yesterday? So we had Man City, Brighton. That was a formality, wasn't it? But again, some lovely goals.
Yeah, I mean, Man City are just unstoppable, really, aren't they? They're just incredible.
Yeah,
when
It's
they
just
play like that.
the speed they go forward is just
Yeah.
is a joy to behold. And now Aguero's got 15 goals in his last 11 Premier League games at the Etihad. It's just absurd,
Oh,
isn't it?
it's ridiculous. And they said, wasn't there rumours in the summer that they were going to sell him and give Gabriel Jesus the starting spot? It was like,
Jesus, apart from start, he's really falling down that kind of falling away. I mean, it seemed at the time that it was almost interchangeable, Jesus Aguero, didn't it? It's like no matter what,
yeah,
they're going to be in doing the same thing. But Aguero, as Shearer said a few weeks back, he is one of the Premier League's best imports of all time, isn't he? He's just a fantastic player.
he's up there. He's definitely up there. Yeah, definitely.
Mm.
But yeah,
Yeah.
Newcastle succumbing to another loss, struggling.
Oh, it's
really
not
struggling.
looking good, is it? Not looking good for Newcastle. 0 wins so far.
And Benitez is there, and he's always been a pragmatic, solid defence, hasn't he? He's not always been the best.
No, it's not been.
He's always been good tactician and knowing how to break people down and how to frustrate them.
Like a couple of holding midfielders, and it's not.
It's just not happening.
But they're a championship side, aren't they? I think he deserves better. I think there's some issues around his contract, and like if he was to resign, forego some money, they sack him. There's a lot of money to go. He needs to be someone else to pay it out. But I think he needs to go. I think he needs to go for his own career. You don't often think of managers' careers because you think they're so long, but ultimately he's getting on a little bit now. He's obviously got quite a few years left in him, but he's not the youngest manager in the league. So I think he owes himself to be managing a much better club than Newcastle.
It's interesting as well because I was thinking about that when you say for his career, and you've got to remember that the actual what I would deem as like success in his career when he was winning trophies was quite a long time ago now.
Yeah,
it's very easy for people to forget what he did before Newcastle. So yeah, I'd agree. For the good of his career, I think he needs to.
Yeah, we're talking kind of. It's got to be over 10 to 15 years ago when he was a success, wasn't it? So his Valencia League were probably the early 2000s. The Liverpool Champions League was 04, 05. So yeah, I mean that's 14 to 17 years ago. So
yeah,
which makes me feel super old. Obviously, he won the Europa League with Chelsea in his kind of caretaker bit. That's still going to be 6-7 years ago. But he needs more. He needs to be managing a top club.
Yeah. And then talking of managers that are, not managers that are maybe under pressure or had to leave for the best of their career. Anyone else just want to get rid of Mark Hughes from the world ever of all football?
I couldn't understand it. I've got a Southampton. A friend who's a Southampton fan, and when he came in at the end of the season, he was like, "Yep, sign him up for keep him as manager." He's kept us up. I was like, "Well, really? I've never been the biggest fan. It's not
Mark Hughes. He's
I don't like him.
Terrible manager.
Yeah, I don't really like him. How he acts as a person, kind of a portrayal of him. He seems quite spiky. There's always the handshake gate with Hughes. I'm not a fan.
No, I'm not. A fan.
Southampton aren't firing on this. Danny Ings has been all right so far this season, but I think Southampton's a bit of a tough one, really, because obviously the turmoil they've had over the last 3-4 years of player sales, manager poaching, and just a few dodgy appointments. It's not easy, but I think they could probably do a little bit better than they are.
It's just struck me, like how you said, Benitez probably deserves better than Newcastle. I think Southampton deserve better than Hughes. I just hate Mark Hughes as a manager. Obviously, ex-Man United player and an ex-Chelsea player and got a good career pedigree. But as a manager, he moans. It's like Mourinho at the moment, but we'll probably get onto that in a minute. But
I think we'll have a chat about that. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't like Mark Hughes, and now I'm getting depressed because I know what game's coming up that we're going to talk about.
Yeah, but just to touch on that Southampton game, Adama Traore made a little bit of a difference there. He obviously did his famous bit of a dribble down the right, unstoppable, and actually found a man. And Cavaliero scored with his first touch after something like 70, 80 seconds in his debut. So well done to Wolves, who get another win, and probably one of the most accomplished and kind of feel like they're at home debuts, and not debuts, but kind of promoted sides coming into the Premier League, isn't it? They just seem like they're at home. I mean, Ipswich when George Burley brought them up, that was quite impressive. Swansea, when they first came up and played good football. But other than that, it's very rarely you see a side looking so accomplished, isn't it?
It is. It's very rare to see it like that, and it's a case of you're sort of watching them. When you watch them in the Premier League, Wolves, you can sort of think, yeah, I can see why you absolutely romped the Championship. Like, I can see why you dominated it, and you don't normally get that feeling, like you say, when a team gets promoted to the Premier League, they normally struggle or they can't play their football how they did in the Championship, and if they do, they struggle a little bit. And but now you're watching Wolves and you're looking at them thinking, yeah, I can see why you won that league at not such a canter in the end. Fulham pulled them back a little bit, but it's the stark difference between what Wolves are doing now they're in the Premier League and what Fulham are doing now they're in the Premier League is different. Worlds apart.
Very much so.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, well, I think we've talked about every game in the Premier League. What happened on Saturday? Is there any more?
Nothing else. No, nothing else. Nothing else. I
got
definitely
it. No.
Because Owen didn't text me at all. No.
No.
So.
No. Oh, yes. West Ham United 3, Manchester United 1.
Yeah.
Early kickoff.
Yeah.
Worst league start in 29 years.
Yeah. Worse than David Moyes. So.
Worse than David Moyes on goal difference.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Incredible. Absolutely incredible. It's just he's got to go, right? I know I had this rant where you got all comfy on the sofa and just sat back and listened a few weeks ago.
I literally just kind of nestled down in my chair a little bit thinking, here we go.
Oh, man. He's got to go. Mourinho's got to go. All I'm hearing is, the players aren't playing for the shirt. Well, that's his effing job, to sort it out, to get them motivated, to get them playing. And he's miserable. He's like the thing with Pogba in midweek with the training, the video that came out where Pogba quite clearly turns up to work keen to get going and high fives everybody, and then Mourinho says something to him and that's it, stops in his tracks, gives him the death stare, and I don't know what's going on. I think I want the whole Mourinho out, Woodward out, Glazier's out, Pogba out, everybody out. Just I don't know.
Ramsey in, yeah.
Ramsey in, David De Gea in. That's about it, I think. Rashford.
Oh my goodness.
Rashford in. Yeah. I don't know. It's all such a pile of shit. Excuse my French at the moment.
When I saw the result, I thought, this is a Mourinho sacking within the next week. He's gone.
If it was anybody else other than Mourinho as Man United manager, if this was David Moyes and if he had finished second last year and if David Moyes finished second last year, runners up in the FA Cup, but started the season like this, he would have been sacked. He would be sacked after that result.
You reckon?
I think he would be sacked after that result if it was David Moyes. I literally think it's just because it's Jose Mourinho. The guy's been living for 3 years in a hotel. How can he... He clearly doesn't... that's just ridiculous, isn't it? The money he's on.
That is ridiculous.
Live in a hotel for 3 years. Just rent a house.
Yeah.
Not saying buy a house, just rent a house. I'm getting so wound up about it again. And it comes obviously off the back of losing to effing Derby at home in the League Cup.
Oh, we'll get to that, Dave. Don't you worry about that, mate. We've got a League Cup. We've got a League Cup section coming up.
Yeah, I know.
For Dave too.
It's just I'm getting more and more frustrated, and I think people are. I'm not saying it's all Mourinho's fault. It's definitely not all Mourinho's fault, but the excuses that people were coming up with, ex-players and pundits and stuff, were spreading the blame around, and now they're starting to blame players and. Or the players a little bit more, saying no one's playing for the shirt, it's not the correct attitude and things like that. But in my mind, that's the manager's job, to get them in that attitude to play for the club, because if they're not playing to play for the club, then they don't want to play for the manager. And the performance, I've seen the highlights. I told Josh just before we started this call that it was I knew something was going to go awry in that game against West Ham. I didn't watch it. It was a lunchtime kickoff here. I've got a friend visiting from the UK, and I was more than happy to go out and miss that game, which is very unlike me for a Man United game. But yeah, 5 minutes in, I was pretty justified. So
I think his sacking is imminent, and work behind the scenes is being done with Zinedine Zidane. And
is he the right person?
No, he's not. But he's available. The problem is his English isn't great.
Yeah,
which is a big problem. But I think the only other person I could think of you'd go for is Well, I think in the ideal world, United would want Pochettino, but I don't see him going there.
I don't see it.
I
I
mean,
want Pochettino. Yeah, I don't see him going.
Real Madrid came calling a bit dream job, and he didn't go there. I think Antonio Conte might be an option.
No.
Again,
No.
available. But honestly, don't know where you're going to go.
Giggsy.
I don't know what you need. It's Giggsy. Giggsy can do one.
I don't want him. I don't want Giggsy in. I would, if we get rid of Mourinho. We're not going to get relegated, right? We're not going to get relegated. It's never going to be that bad. We're going to get relegated. If it carries on as it is, we're not going to get top 4. So why not just give it to Carrick for a season, for the rest of the season, as just get him in doing something, or someone bring someone in that will support Carrick to do it for the rest of the season, and then see what happens next year.
Really?
Or give it to Zidane for the next 7 months or whatever, 6 months.
Yeah, I mean, you mean with there's 31 games left. You need someone. You're a massive club. You've still got Champions League all to play for, FA Cup to play for, League Cup not to play for. I think you need if you need to go. You can still appoint someone now who is a kind of long-term solution.
Yeah, I know. I think it's just who
Gary Neville, Phil Neville combo.
Nah, fuck that. Sorry, French. Excuse my language. That was a very quick, instantaneous response. Yeah.
So much. Big Sam comes in, saves the day. Yes, that's what's going to happen.
Big Sam would come in, and at the end of the season, he would go, "Well, we didn't get relegated, so that's a success." I don't know. I honestly don't know. I mean, Arsene Wenger.
Linked to I like Arsene Wenger. Linked to last week, you may have named him as one of your most hated players, but Laurent Blanc, ex-United centre back.
But if they were going to bring in Blanc, why not bring him in when we sacked David Moyes? Because he was available then. He was on a free.
Because on paper you'd think Mourinho's better, but I think he's yeah.
We'll have another podcast all about the future of Man United's management, because I agree. I think it's imminent.
This isn't going away. Something's going away, and it's going to be Mourinho in a few weeks' time. By the end of October, he's gone.
I think before Christmas is what I would say. I just want to make this very clear. I didn't want him in the first place, and when we appointed him, I was like, yeah, I'll get on board with it, but I didn't want him in the first place, and I've got plenty of witnesses to back me up in court.
I'm not sure it'll come to that, but yeah.
Yeah. You never know, Josh.
Well, we'll leave that. We'll leave all the Man United doom and gloom there, shall we? And we'll talk about
the League Cup.
The League Cup. So, on to the next section. The League Cup. The EFL. No.
Yeah.
EFL. No.
It's Carabao Cup. The Carabao Cup.
Carabao. What everybody loves. Everybody loves their Carabao in the morning. What is Carabao? Who knows? So we sent out a poll during the week. Do you consider the League Cup a major trophy? And hashtag football talk, hashtag Graham poll, which confused a lot of people. I say a lot of people, it confused Dave.
It really confused me. I was like, why has he done that? What's he done that for?
Yeah. What's Graham poll got to do with the League Cup?
It's not been a good podcast.
Yeah,
for me.
and you turned out in your droves, and 69% of you said no, it's not a major trophy. And Dave, which way did you vote?
I voted no.
I voted no as well.
Go on.
It's a major trophy when it's the only thing you win that year. When Mourinho won it, it's like, yeah, big. We got silverware right there. But if Spurs were to win it this year, because obviously the criticism against Pochettino is, he hasn't won anything. If we were to win that, people go, yeah, but he hasn't won anything major, has he? Just won a League Cup. So no, it's not good enough. It's a when you buy something off Amazon and you go, it's like, this is only an add-on. You can only get this if you spend £20 on other stuff. That's what the League Cup is. It's only an add-on trophy. You've got to win something big for it to bolster your shopping basket.
That's a great analogy. That's really good.
Yeah.
I've got a soft spot for the Carabao Cup because I do actually like it. I don't consider it a major trophy, but I like it in the season. That's a weird thing to say because I like the fact that you get, as an avid football manager player, I love the fact that in the Carabao Cup and the League Cup or whatever it's called in whatever iteration, you always got to see the young players. You always got to see those.
I
Young
agree.
players
That
you
is
know
what I enjoy. Yeah.
on Football Manager, and I know people are like, "Oh, well, the big teams just play their reserves and they're the youngsters." Great, great. Keep it going. I love it. I love it. I love seeing the youngsters. Phil Foden looked incredible for Man City. I know they're only playing
Yeah, lovely
Macclesfield, but
finish.
he looked
Yeah.
incredible. Like seeing
No,
players
City
like
played
that.
Oxford. Yeah,
Oxford, sorry, yeah, Oxford, yeah.
Macclesfield got an absolute trouncing from the
West Ham.
Giants, West Ham, obviously.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, we were playing them when they're in form, so that's our excuse.
Yeah.
So. But I mean,
Yeah, no, I agree, and
yeah.
I think clubs like it because I think clubs now they have. It's kind of like catch-22. They have a big score because there's lots of tournaments, but they need competitions like this, which they don't mind because they're obviously in England, so it's the travel shorter. But they get to get the other players getting some games, so they're ready to play if need be in bigger matches. So I think
Yeah,
so.
100%.
Come off the back of this, Man United and Liverpool will be. Part of them will be happy they're out because it's less games, but then it also gives the manager another headache because how is Simon Mignolet going to get another chance to play this season?
yeah, very true. Yeah, very true. I mean, it's like that's why no, it's not a major trophy. But do I want it gone from the season? No, I don't. I like it. I like to see it there. I like to see the competition be played, and I also like it because it's the one competition really in England that an underdog has got a really good chance to win.
Yeah,
Because
because I mean, we went into this week, because the top six going to this week, and they all made at least 5 changes. I mean, Arsenal made 9, Chelsea made about 8, 9 changes. So there is that kind of that risk they're taking that it's not going to work out far. It's not going to work out fine. That the players are bringing in somewhat lower standard, or the fact that you just change it so much that you haven't got the simply kind of that teamwork, that team kind of ethic between them. They don't quite know what they're doing. They're a little bit lost, and so there is always that risk. And as we saw during the week, there is a bit of an upset on the cards. Be it, I mean, Liverpool Chelsea. There's no real upset there because they're quite evenly matched. But there was another upset, wasn't there?
Yeah, I mean,
there was Derby County
Man
went
United
to
took Derby to penalties. That's an upset.
Yeah, who'd have thought it? And to be honest with you, watching it, who'd have thought it? Because Derby County were playing pretty well, and beforehand it seemed like, I mean, obviously Lampard playing against Mourinho managers, and so that was quite nice to see. That was all set to be like kind of a big embrace on the touchline, ruffling each other's hair, and But Derby did quite well. Did you see much of the game? Or have you seen highlights?
I saw the highlights, and Derby played well. I actually got to work. I think it was the next day or whatever. Woke up the next day and I read a quote, and I was like, "Oh, okay, so we've lost that then." I read a quote, and it was like, "There's only one championship team on display, and it looked like Man United." I was like, "Oh, great!" So then I watched the highlights, and Derby deserved it. They deserved to win. They probably deserved to win in normal time, to be honest. So.
Yeah, they did. It was, I mean, your plan B, who is probably your plan A, Fellaini popping up at the end of the match here to take it to penalties. But can I just take a moment to the free kick? Was it Harry Wilson's free kick?
Oh my word! What a strike!
That is phenomenal. That is absolutely beautiful. That free kick.
Yeah.
It's just because, right? I mean, for a few moments after it leaves his foot, you think it's going to go whipping in top right, but it just stays on and then drifts out. It is. Watch that one out. That along with the goal I mentioned earlier, are just 2 blooters from the week.
Yeah, an incredible finish, incredible free kick, and he won't be able to do it again for a very long time. But I mean,
talk about the League Cup.
Yeah,
is the fact they've gone away with extra time and go straight to penalties.
Yes,
love it.
That is really good. Yeah, that is really good.
I love a penalty shootout, and because you don't often really get to see your side in a penalty shootout. And watching the Man United one, you can see. I mean, it's not as high pressure. It's not like a World Cup penalty shootout because how many fantastic penalties there were, and it's like goal, 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 goal off. Not like loads of misses like you get in the World Cup. But then
goal. Phil Jones
steps up. It's like, I know you're missing that, Phil Jones. You know you're missing that. You might as well have just gone and tapped it and gone, I was never going to score it anyway, so there's no point me trying. It's just lifts up a shirt saying, why always me? Because that is textbook Phil Jones.
Yeah, but then the manager shouldn't chuck him under the bus afterwards. I just want to point that out there. The manager shouldn't say, the manager shouldn't say, as soon as it got down to Phil Jones, I knew we were in trouble. Cheers, boss. Thanks. Don't put me sixth then. Don't put me as the 8th penalty taker or whatever it was. It was like, put me last, put me 10th. Give it to De Gea.
United have now lost their last 5 penalty shootouts.
Oh God, here come the facts. Oh.
But I mean, in your history, you've won the most important one, the Champions League final one against Chelsea. That's like the most important. Yeah, that's the most important penalty shootout you can have, really, isn't it?
Exactly. So, okay. I mean, have you got any other I've got one. Actually, we got a message earlier today on recording day about the League Cup, and Shiv at ShivMKaylee1 on Twitter tweeted us at Football Talk, but there's no A in football. What do you think about amalgamating the Scottish and the English League Cups together with a possibility of having something like Celtic v Liverpool in the final?
I mean, in theory it would work, but I mean, Celtic can never get into a final of that tournament, are they?
Well, you don't know, because it's the reserve teams in the Premier League, so they might. But,
yeah.
But like, it'll be a good sort of example, wouldn't it? To say all these people that want, let's get the Scottish Rangers and Celtic into the Premier League. Surely this would be a good first step in the direction to see if it would work.
I mean, that talk has died down massively in recent years, isn't it?
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Because that talk was kind of before, like, really Silly Money got into Premier League, where it was somewhat equal. I mean, Celtic were progressing in Europe a bit more, and the Premier League wasn't kind of super hundreds of millions transfer fees, but there is not many people talking about Celtic and Rangers getting in the Premier League. They're kind of like Celtic and Rangers maybe in the Championship. But I've always quite liked to see that kind of cross pollinations, whether you can have a bit of Scottish sides in amongst English sides. But I think the first round of the League Cup is actually divided by North and South now.
Yeah,
to actually make it a bit more. So I mean, to then spread you further to even more north, I think is going against what kind of the North-South divide was trying to do. It, but I'm not against things like that. It seems interesting to get different teams playing each other, get a bit more kind of intrigue in it. So obviously, I think the games which would, if Celtic were to play a bigger side, it would be of some interest. Up until Celtic played someone like Wolves and got beaten, then you'd be like, oh God, what have we done?
Does the winner of the League Cup still go into Europe?
Yes, they do. Yeah.
Yeah, they do. So that would be an interesting thing if they amalgamated. If they had like a British Isles Cup, which was the League Cup for Scotland, Wales, Ireland, and us, and England. What would you do about Europe?
Yeah, because then you've got who owns that that spot. Yeah.
So,
but no, I like the idea. I always like that type of things. Yeah.
Well, thank you very much for the tweet. Anyway, it certainly caused us to have a little chat about it. So keep them coming in at Football Talk on Twitter, which is very nice. We can. If you follow us, we'll probably follow you back because that's lazy like that. We just press the follow back button straight away online. So yeah. Okay. I think we'll have to leave that chat there because we're eating into our time that we've got available with each other. So we'll go on to the wiki files. Who needs the wiki files? I got the wiki files. I got a wiki file for you. There we go.
Yes. A round of applause, everyone. Round of applause. Yeah.
I'm getting there. I'm nailing it. It's getting better every time. So. Josh has sent me a
whose stats are these stats? Not my stats. Whose stats?
Okay. 1996, his career starts at Walsall, scoring 14 in 76. That got him a move to Bolton Wanderers in the year 2000. 37 in 98. Wow. Is that his Premiership stint? Because I'm going to.
That's his Premiership stint. Yeah.
Okay. 2003, 2004 is Middlesbrough. 3 goals in 32. Leeds United, 2004-2006. That would have been. Would that have been Prem? Would that have been Leeds at peak? No, couldn't have been.
No.
0 goals in 25.
His Middlesbrough and his Bolton time. 2 out of his 3 seasons at Bolton in Premier League, and Middlesbrough both seasons in the Premier League. That is all of his Premier League experience there, Dave.
Okay, thank you. And then he goes to Stoke on loan, scoring 0 in 11. Then Cardiff on loan, scoring 5 in 17. Burnley on loan after that, 2 in 13. And then then his career capitulated, didn't it? Southend United, 0 in 2. Preston North End, 1 in 14. Oldham Athletic, 2 in 9. Walsall on loan, 3 in 12. Walsall, 9 in 28. Tranmere Rovers, 2 in 12, giving him a total of 349 games, one short of the 350. 78 goals. Wow.
So you can say he's a journeyman. That's how I describe him.
An English journeyman. He's travelled. I was in his travels are in England. I'm going to assume he is.
Yeah,
English.
he does not like going. Yeah.
I'm going to assume
He
he's
is
English,
very much stayed in England. Yes,
yeah,
yes.
Okay. Bolton Wanderers and Middlesbrough in the Premier League. Oh.
And look at the goals he scored there. To give you a little fact, right? I think around 40%. So he's scored 78 league goals.
Yeah.
In 2 seasons of his Bolton career, he scored 31 of those. So he scored like 40% of his goals in 2 years.
So was he a striker for Bolton? And did he get on the cusp of an England cap?
Oh, did he get on the cusp of it, or did he?
Did he make the squad and not get the cap, or did he get 1 cap? And now I've got a Bolton player in my head who I know made 1 cap for England because he signed my shirt.
What? You got this player's signature?
Is it Rowan Ricketts?
Oh, he's messed it up. He's messed it up.
Oh no! Okay, I'm gonna have to get more stats.
Think about what you're saying there. You're close, but you're not quite right, Dave.
Okay. Oh my god.
You've named the wrong Ricketts.
I know that's my problem, but I can't think of his first name. Oh.
So tell me about this time that he signed your shirt, Dave. Obviously, he didn't sign his.
It was actually for. I'm pretty sure it's an under-21 game I went to watch, and I got his signature, Owen Hargreaves, and someone else. Maybe not Owen Hargreaves.
Are you a big signature fan? Or have you got many player signatures? Or is it?
I've got a few on Man United shirts that I've actually left in storage in the UK because we couldn't ship them over here. Yeah, I've got a few from Man United games that I've been to. And
so how do they normally come about? You would like go down to the edge of a pitch? Would you wait for them to come in through the back door? What's the kind of?
The Man United ones was when I was when my mum lived in Manchester. Obviously, I didn't have to rush off from the stadium or anything, so I just used to stay around and take the atmosphere, finish my go out, have a beer, and then go back to the stadium. And when the players were all going back to their cars and stuff, just sort of wait there and see if anyone would sign it. So I got some great signatures.
Oh, really?
Like Van der Sar, Berbatov, Rio Ferdinand, Giggsy, Gary Neville. All of
them were actually meeting them and them signing it.
Yeah, all of them were meeting them and signing it. Yeah. So Rio Ferdinand.
Any of them any of them say anything of interest? Any of them really arsey or nice?
No, not really. No, I mean Wes Brown. I got his signature on a program, and he's an odd individual.
Yeah.
Yeah, he looks really odd. Like, I know that's a weird thing to say, but
no, he does look odd. He always found his complexion somewhat orange, but
he looks odder in real life. Park Ji-sung, I got his signature, and he spent loads of time with the fans after the game. Like, some of them just sort of run straight through, like Anderson, the midfielder Anderson.
Yeah.
He just literally got straight into his car and drove off. Didn't have any time for the fans. But yeah, Park Ji-sung went around, did signatures for loads of people, as did John O'Shea, but no one was really interested. So. Anyway, I'm getting distracted. Who's this
yes.
Ricketts? Who's the Ricketts brother?
Brothers now. Is it because he's black? You said that.
Oh God, are they not brothers?
I don't think they're related at all. No.
Oh, okay. I'm not gonna get. I'll have his international stats just for.
You can have his international stats. Yeah.
Is it 1 cap for England?
It is 1 cap for England.
Oh, who is it?
No goal.
Oh, I'm not going to be able to get it.
It begins with an M.
Michael Ricketts.
Michael Ricketts.
Oh, my word. Oh, that was far more painful than it should have been. I knew it was Ricketts.
Yeah, we dragged that one out.
Mark, yeah.
Mark, yeah.
Oh, Michael Ricketts. I have no standout memory of Michael Ricketts other than him signing my shirt. It must have been Michael Ricketts.
I remember that season where he just kept on banging them in. I was like, that's quite impressive. And then, he got his England. He played against Holland in a friendly. Got a vague feeling that was when Darius Vassell played a little bit as well. But
Wow.
Fun fact: his middle name is Barrington. Michael Barrington Ricketts.
Barrington.
And a very much less fun fact that on 17th of January 2011, he pleaded guilty to common assault with his girlfriend for punching headbutting her. So let's
my
not
God.
glamorise this man anymore.
Yeah.
Leave you there, Michael Ricketts.
Yeah, thank you, Michael Ricketts. You were part of the Wiki Files. Now get out.
Yeah.
Okay, well that's the end of the Wiki Files. So that's a sour note to end on, Josh. Come on.
That is, isn't it?
That is.
I
Poor.
know. Well, it's
That
not my
is
fault.
poor. I mean, you could class him as an overrated player, couldn't you, Michael Ricketts? Which leads
I
us
would say he is
nicely
overrated.
on to the next part of the podcast, where Josh and I wanted to have a little chat with Luka Modric picking up Golden Ball of the Year. Was that what it's called? FIFA World
Do you know what?
Player of the Year, or whatever
It's becoming a bit too pop star, isn't it? The football environment. There seems to be a few awards knocking about, which I'm not quite sure what they are. It seems to be there's a few too many awards going around.
Right.
And they seem to be getting a bit more. And you know, you got your Brit Awards, you got your Grammys. There's a bit too many. So yes, Luka Modric did pick up award during the week, and I'd say, especially during his time at Tottenham and his early. I mean, he was, I think, rated as one of the worst signings they made that year. Luka Modric for Real Madrid. He was. I always considered him as underrated, and it only seems now that he is getting his rating, as it were. He's coming to the forefront, and people appreciating him for the player he is. So it got me thinking around the kind of the rating of players, of the over-under rating. It's often a fan, a kind of, or a pundit term for of a player that, I mean, often if you talk about it as your own player at your club, you go, oh, he's so underrated because you appreciate him, because you watch more of that football, you watch more of him playing, you see the grunt work that he may do. Because when looking through what an underrated player or an overrated player was, it seems to be often it's goals are tied into it. So often underrated midfielder is a midfielder who, like Modric did, wasn't one getting the first assist, maybe get the secondary assists, maybe wasn't scoring the goals. How people now talk about Moussa Dembele at Tottenham. He's underrated. Well, everybody appreciates it. He's a very good dribbler of the ball, very good kind of moving through the lines, doesn't score his goals, doesn't really get assists, so therefore you consider him underrated. But is that really what it takes? It's goals? And I suppose it is, because you often get defenders being spoken about. Oh, they're a great defender, really good season so far, because he's headed in 5 goals from corners, like Yerry Mina, for example, signed for Everton after a very good World Cup. Well, did he have a very good World Cup? Is he now overrated because he scored 3 goals from corners? Is he now considered an overrated player? And yeah, so we thought we'd get onto the topic of over and underrated players, pull out a few names I've thought about over underrated, and then leave your comments below, and if you agree, disagree, and who you think is overrated, underrated, and how you classifying that over underrating.
I think the key thing you've said there is how you classify it, and it's good in the comments if you could do that and let us know with the classification of why that person is over or underrated. Because Josh and I have, obviously, to prep for the podcast, we put our links together to say what we want to discuss this week, and already we've had a few things where I've listed players that I think are overrated and he's put them in the underrated column for different clarification purposes. So but yeah, I mean, go on then, Josh. Give us one. Luka Modric, obviously this is why the conversation has started, because he's now becoming recognised in what he's doing. So who else have you got that you think is under-recognised or underappreciated for what they do in football?
So a name I would put out is Sergio Busquets.
Okay.
And so I remember when Pep first pulled him out of the Barcelona B side, and as a football manager fan as well, like, you remember looking at his stats the first time he came, he's like, oh, he's just average everything. He's kind of, there's nothing to him. And watching him play, there's nothing that spectacular about him, and that's where the kind of a rating play comes from. Because I think part of it is like, who do you talk about in a pub? Well, Dave and I obviously have that kind of ongoing, who's better, Messi or Ronaldo, because it's easy to conceptualise, easy to understand their talents, because you can go, like, the goals he scores, it's much more accessible. Whereas I think it takes that kind of finer understanding to appreciate the work which is done within the team, rather than, you can see if a keeper's great because he's saving lots of goals. You can see if a striker's great because he's scoring lots of goals. But that kind of midfield area where they're part of the team rather than part of the end product is much harder. And so Sergio Busquets is one that I don't feel gets anywhere near enough recognition that he does. And I remember reading a I can't remember if it was Iniesta or Xavi talking, but Busquets is so good that he plays a pass to you, and he plays it. You might have your back to the play. He'll play it softly towards you if he wants you to come to the ball. He'll play it to the side if he wants you to roll round that way because there's a player on your other shoulder. And so it's that detail. He's playing passes, and obviously there's a discussion beforehand. He's playing the passes to help you have to do less work because he's doing the work himself. And it's just those kind of tidbits you think you don't really, those nuances you don't kind of appreciate of a player. But he's so composed on the ball, keeps it all ticking over. I think he's an underrated player.
Okay, interesting. Like in a similar sort of mould, underrated wise, I went Fernandinho because I don't think basically in what you've just described, Busquets. I don't think Man City could attack in a way they do if they didn't have Fernandinho playing at the base of that midfield and dictating the sort of play and breaking plays up with his professional fouls, should we call them, to stop other teams counteracting them when they do. And I think Fernandinho in the Premier League is very underrated for what he does, and I think there's a lot of football fans out there would be like, you're talking about your top Man City players, and Fernandinho wouldn't even probably get in the top 8 or 9, whereas I think I think I would put him in there. I think I'd put him in like a top 8 bracket of key players to how Man City play. I think he'd be up there for me, and I think he's wildly underrated because he's got the ability to do the mix up of passes, long, short, quick, slow the tempo down if you need to, and he can score a thunder bastard from range, as we've seen a couple of times, and he's there as a holding midfielder, and he's more than happy to accept that role within the team to say, well, go on, Sterling, Jesus, Aguero, David Silva, De Bruyne, all of those people, you go and have that freedom, and I'll sit here and make sure everything's...
Yeah, it's funny when a player finds himself in a certain side when he knows he's not the most talented player, but if he was to play for, say, Fernandinho was to move to a lesser side who didn't have that kind of plethora of attacking talent, he'd find himself in a different role. He wouldn't be playing exactly the same role because he wouldn't be able to just give it to De Bruyne and Silva and to let them do it. So if, say, he was to move to Everton or something like that, he would find himself much more box to box, much more using his attacking play because that's what's required, and maybe he wouldn't be as effective. So I think he does somewhat benefit from the situation he finds himself in. But linked to that, I mean, Casemiro for Real Madrid. I think Casemiro's, I'd say, a better player, but he finds himself in the underrated category because he does all that grunt work, allowing players to kind of flourish, and so without him, it doesn't work anywhere near as well.
Okay, yeah, interesting. So, I sort of want to enter an overrated player that I know will cause friction, let's say, between us. So, I'm going to suggest that Karim Benzema is very overrated.
Now, how did you come to that conclusion, Dave? Because I disagree, but you feel free to.
Because he's not. He plays at like one of the biggest clubs in world football at Real Madrid, and he plays when he's picked for one of the best nations in world football in France, or you could argue the best nation because they just won the World Cup. But he's never really. He's a striker that I find is overrated because he doesn't have a style of play. That annoys me. I don't know what he is, and people say, he's really good at holding up the ball. He's really good at running behind. He's really good at doing these runs. He's really good at scoring goals. He's really good at being a poacher. He's really good at scoring from outside the box. I'm sort of like, but you can't be really good at all of that because he's not that good. He's not that good.
Yeah, if you were really good at all that, you'd be the best player in the world. But yeah, I mean, I've heard him described as a 9.5, as in his style between a number 9 and a 10, because he is that kind of blend of all different things. He is.
But that in himself,
I think he's a very good player.
That in himself, for me, means he's overrated because he's not good enough to have a position invented for him. Do your job properly. Do something properly. Don't have a. It's like you're saying, if you're not going to save the ball as a goalkeeper, don't touch it. Don't waste your energy. Do you know what I mean? I think he's overrated. I do think he's overrated.
I think Real Madrid could upgrade on him, but I think there's sometimes you have that player. I mean, he must have been at Real Madrid for over 10 years now. Well, coming up to 10 years, and consistently played there. I mean, he never really won for big injuries. I think he's probably played best part of every season in the league, but he offers something. Sometimes you need a player you need a player to fit in with a system rather than fit a system around him, because he can, other players can come and go, but he'll be there as a consistent. I think potentially slightly overrated, because you see him as the striker for Real Madrid. You immediately think you're going to be one of the best strikers in the world, and I think he's up there in like kind of, but down there in like say top tens as it were. I don't think many teams would go to sign him if they wanted to sign a 30 goal a season man. I think you'd again sign him as that kind of that all-round striker to help, that kind of Mario Mandzukic, that kind of that player who you kind of want in your team, but not necessarily is your focal point of the team.
Yeah, okay, I get that.
Yeah, he's the kind of Olivier Giroud, Mario Mandzukic element to striker. He's just a little bit more technically gifted than both those, I'd say. But yeah, he kind of falls into the over-under rate. I think he's just kind of rated. I don't think he's...
Well, that's the thing. I think people overrate him. I think people overrate him, and I think he's overrated. You say Giroud. I think Giroud's underrated as a striker for what he does. You know you're not going to get that many goals from Olivier Giroud, but you know you're going to get a fantastic hold-up play. Like... It's hard. This is why it has to be classified, isn't it? You have to have a classification.
Because there is no definitive sort. There's no rating, basically, is there? There's no rating scale where you can go, actually, I disagree with them being as number 17 in the world. I think they should be number 32. But you can only go on... You're effectively going... People's perception of them is far too... is arrived from what I agree with. And it is a difficult thing, but... We're still trying to talk about it.
Yeah. So who's overrated for you? Pick an overrated player that you had on your list.
Well, Paul Pogba for me is overrated.
Okay.
If you go purely on, well, his Man United form is shown nothing of that transfer fee which he commanded. I mean, you can say transfer fees aren't decided by the player, but they're decided by performances ultimately. That is a part of a person's transfer fee that they've obviously had to have performed or shown potential to perform at some stage, be it a very youngster. Their potential can decide a hard transfer fee. I've not seen in a Man United shirt anything that says the amount that United paid for him. With France shirt, he's better. It's probably something to do with Mourinho. But still, I wouldn't put him up there in world's best midfielders. He would be nowhere near a world 11 for me. I'm not even sure I'd classify him as world class.
Wow. Okay.
I don't get it.
Yeah. Okay. I think it's his inconsistency that could rate him in the overrated category, because he's not. I think you've got to be consistent to be world class. But for France, generally, he is consistent. I wonder if, because Juventus, he was very consistent. That's why we bought him back and paid 89 million for him. And I think, it's hard. I agree in the fact that I don't think he'd be in a World 11, in my World 11 at the moment. No way. I think there's much better midfielders that can give you much more balance and do what he does more consistently in a World 11. But, I can't argue with you, actually, to be honest. At the moment, he's very overrated.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's no argument about it. He's at the moment.
No, I think a part of that is the Jose Mourinho effect, that he's got a lot of players in that Man United side who are performing a lot better in an international shirt. With the Sanchez, I mean, Lukaku, Lindelof had a good World Cup, but Pogba had a good World Cup.
Yeah,
they're performing better, and that just reeks of a poor manager at the moment. So maybe, hopefully, we can get. He can rebalance his rating with his performances, but at the moment, no.
Yeah, okay.
So I spoke about earlier how I find underrated players are because haven't got the stats to back it up.
Yeah.
Who have you got as an underrated player who? Because I've got one that springs to mind, who's got stats to back it up, which this player forms part of my fact of the week, but he's not rated. So have you got anyone who's seemingly putting scores on the board, but people just don't appreciate him?
It's hard because the people I've listed aren't. I don't have. Is the underrated? I actually don't have any strikers on my list. I've only got 5. I went for 5 people that I think would be a good talking sort of point, so we could pick them out. One of them is Johan Cabaye, who I think was always underrated.
Yeah, I like Johan Cabaye.
Wildly underrated. Even when he was at Palace, I think he kept Palace ticking over in a certain way. And I really liked Johan Cabaye. The other one, who is everyone understands he's a very good footballer, but I think he's very underrated. Is David Silva, like literally one of the best players the Premier League has ever seen. David Silva.
Yeah.
And I think people
Agreed.
won't realise that until he's left the Premier League. I think more people are starting to come around to it, but I think because, like you said, he doesn't score many goals, and he's got good assist numbers, I would assume. I don't have the stats to hand, but I'd assume he'd have good assist numbers. But because he doesn't score goals, yet he plays in attacking midfield, I think people see that as a sort of stick to beat him with, but wildly underrated in my opinion, wildly underrated.
Yeah. No, I agree.
So
and
who's the one you had?
linked to that,
who's the one you
well,
had with
plays
that?
for the same side, I would say Raheem Sterling. I think he's underrated.
Okay.
He gets a lot of flack from England fans. I mean, it's absurd. I mean, the papers actually tear him a new one each week when he's playing for England, and I think that's just plain and simple racism, really.
Yeah.
But I think he is a fantastic player. I remember having an argument with it was my brother-in-law last year, saying I think Raheem Sterling is a fantastic player, and he has the potential to be a lot better than he is. He's obviously got some failings. I think my argument was that he's got a lot of pace, a lot of ability on the ball, but it doesn't always have an end product. But now, I mean, he's getting goals, he's getting assists, he's actually making the difference, and he's still, if you're making that difference week in, week out, and you're still not being appreciated, I'm not sure what's going wrong, really. I mean, you can't, if you consistently do it over a long period of time, you can't be a bad player.
Yeah, I think I like Raheem Sterling as a player. I think he's brilliant. I think he's very good. I think he got a lot of flack in the World Cup, and I think he was or harshly judged by not just the press but England fans for the time. You know, he misses a few chances for England and things like that, or he hadn't scored for this long for England, but he's good. He's just a good player.
Yeah, I mean, I'll throw my own player under the bus here. Harry Kane didn't really. I mean, Harry Kane wins the Golden Boot, and people lauded him. Oh, Harry Kane, yeah, but not one of those goals was a good goal.
Nah, because if he squared the ball against Croatia, we'd be in the final.
Please don't, Dave. Oh God. I mean, Raheem Sterling score? I'm not sure he did, and he is going, what a poor performance. And obviously, often in like the games, like 60, 70 minutes in, it's like, take Raheem Sterling off. He's done nothing. He hasn't even scored. It's like, but you've seen the runs he's making there. He's freeing this up. He's pushing the defence back. He's allowing us to do that and the other. It's like people get it, and I think if the newspapers weren't so harsh on him, I think he'd get a bit more slack from the fans. But unfortunately, he has that combination of the two. And
the easiest argument I've always had, or rebuttal I've had to an argument with Raheem Sterling with people when I talk about it, is if he wasn't very good, he wouldn't be playing for the champions of England consistently under Pep Guardiola, who's probably one of the best managers we've ever had, like statistically in the Premier League, and they would just go out and spend money to replace him, and they've arguably tried to spend money to replace him, and he still keeps his place in the team. They bought in
60 million on Mahrez, and Mahrez isn't playing.
Mahrez, sorry, it's I agree with you wholeheartedly. Wildly underrated by football folk.
Yep.
So yeah.
All right.
Interesting. Well, that was
I had one last overrated player.
Okay, go for it.
I'll leave it there because I also wanted to throw in a Joey Barton quote that I heard.
Always necessary.
As you do.
A Joey Barton quote, yeah.
Yeah. So this player, considered one of the world's best by a lot, but I'm not sure. I sometimes I get it, sometimes I don't. So it's Neymar.
Okay.
Now, what are your thoughts on Neymar?
He would be classed as absolutely world class and one of the world's best if he didn't roll around like a fanny.
Yeah, I suppose that is an element, isn't it? And so the Joe Barton quote, it said, I think he's a Kim Kardashian of football. Neymar is not the best player in the world. We saw that again in Russia. Neymar is more than a football phenomenon. He is an advertising phenomenon, like the Kardashians. And
very true.
He is incredibly marketable, isn't he? And you have that with, and so that, as I said earlier, performance part of a player's transfer fee, but when you're at that end of it, marketability does as well, because you have all the things that come with Neymar that put you on that world stage. The advertising revenue is huge for clubs these days. They are big businesses, so that does make part of it. So I think that makes a portion of Neymar's kind of rating, because you bolt that onto someone's transfer fee. You go, hold on a minute, they haven't performed fantastically, yet someone's paying that for him. It's like, well, you've got to think of a complete package. Like with Pogba, he's very marketable. He's big on Adidas's campaigns and things like that. So it's you've got to have a complete package. But Neymar, for me, in a Brazil shirt, obviously he's going to potentially be one of our highest goal scorers of all time. I just wish he hadn't gone to Paris. I wish he hadn't gone to Liga.
I was just thinking that. I find it very hard to judge if he's over or underrated while he's playing in Liga. Because if, there's been all this chat about Madrid potentially buying him from PSG. I really hope that happens, because we get to see peak Neymar in a top division. It's not, again, La Liga isn't the most competitive, but it's more competitive than Liga. And it's sort of like, can you really judge Neymar in Liga? Because it's pretty
it's just it's a little drop down, isn't it? I mean, it's still a good league, but it's a little drop down where it's not quite at peak, is it?
Yeah. So, no, it's a good one to end on, actually. Yeah, remember to leave your comments below, and on SoundCloud, leave us comments and give us a tweet as well of who you think is over and underrated in the footballing world. And if you've got the space and the time, please leave us a clarification message as well to let us know why. But we are slowly running out of time. So, Josh, we're going to have to move on to your football fact of the day.
Okay. Well, linked to what my underrated player there, Raheem Sterling, and I said he's been doing it for a consistent amount of time now. Raheem Sterling has 35 goals in his last 39 Premier League games.
35 goals or assists in 39 games. His last 39 games.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Which is pretty damn impressive, isn't it? He's basically saying he's going out on that pitch and he will either create you a goal or score you a goal.
Yeah.
Which
wow.
I don't think many people appreciate that. Like, he's at that kind of level, and I know a lot of people going, "Yeah, he's playing for Pep's side. He's all tap-ins." It's like, well, he's still got to understand what he's doing in that pitch. He's still got to get in those positions. He's still got to play that pass. I think Pep's football does suit that, but hey, he's one getting inside. Pep's one choosing him, and I don't foresee. I mean, if you say Sané's a better player, what are Sané's stats in those times? Aguero's stats in those times. So, yeah. He's a very good player, and the stats are backing it up.
That's an incredible, fact and stats wise sort of thing. That's 35, like playing a part in 35 goals, a direct part in 35 goals in 39 games in the Premier League is redonkulous.
And to add a second stat after my fantastic stat last week, I'll chuck another one in there. This is another young English player. Because Raheem Sterling's still pretty young, actually. Jadon Sancho, our favourite Bundesliga player. So he is currently leading Bundesliga's assists. He has got 5 assists after 6 games, but he's only played 124 minutes.
I was going to say, he's not just leading assists in the Bundesliga, he's Europe's top assister in games to assist ratio across the whole of Europe. Yeah, so, incredible. We'll be talking about him on a future podcast. Like, I just feel it. Like, he'll be in the England squad soon, and we'll be talking about him. So
it'd be nice. It'd be nice at that time. When do you reckon that'll happen this season? Would you reckon make a prediction, Dave?
I think he'll be in the England squad in this season. Yeah.
Okay.
I do. Do you?
We shall wait and see.
Do you think he will?
I'm going to be contrarian and go no. Southgate be boring and go no.
He wears a waistcoat. He can't be that boring. He's really boring. Yeah, he wears a waistcoat.
Sorry, Dave.
Yeah.
Do you own lots of waistcoats?
Yeah, but I never wear them. So it makes me semi-boring. So.
Yeah.
Right. Well, thank you.
It's the thought that counts.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you very much, Josh. Thanks for the facts. It's been great chatting to you again. Please leave a like if you've enjoyed the video. If you're on YouTube, please leave a comment and a heart icon on SoundCloud. I don't know if they call that a like as well. And give us a follow. We're on Twitter at Football Talk, but there's no A in football. And you can find us on YouTube at Football Talk, and we're linked to Cultured Left Foot's channel, and we're on SoundCloud, Football Talk. Just search for Football Talk on the internet and you'll come across us. But thank you very much for watching, guys. Josh, if you'd like to say your farewells.
Goodbye. Enjoy football this week. There's some Champions League football coming up. Yeah.
Yeah, excellent. So thank you very much. But for now, we're out. Cheers.